Take your seats. Today's lesson comes with a physical prop, which is rare for this class, so treat it with respect. This is a Coke bottle cup. It's supposed to be Pepsi, but we don't have Pepsi and we love Coke. And no, this is not sponsored. And in most countries, it means you didn't win if it says 349. But in the Philippines, in 1992, this exact number turned into riots, into grenades, and a body count. And I have spent an unreasonable number of hours reading Senate transcripts about soda, so you don't have to. Also, quick note before we start, this is officially a new segment on the channel. I'll be pulling out the chalkboard voice whenever the topic is real Philippine history, so if today's format feels a little different from a normal upload, that's on purpose, okay? It's not a fluke. So today's syllabus covers a marketing promotion that a Massachusetts Humor Prize later honored for bringing warring factions together, and that prize was a joke. What happened to earn it was not. Pens up, class is back in session. Hi guys, it's Dee and welcome back to the channel. Attendance is mandatory, but enrollment is free. Hit subscribe so you don't get marked absent, and if this is your first time catching my class, Dee's class, this is a new recurring spot where I put on the teacher hat and dig into real Philippine history and current events. Patreon's in the description for students who want extra credit, and membership is right below this video. Today's syllabus is short but heavy. What the Philippines was like right before this promotion launched, exactly what went wrong, how many people died, and why a soda contest from over 30 years ago should still make you pay attention to any prize, any raffle, or too good to be true offer you see here in the Philippines now. Now, the trick up front is here because I don't believe in stringing you along for 6 minutes or more before answering any question about the title. The number was 349. Pepsi Philippines ran a promotion called Number Fever. Buy a bottle, check the cap for a 3-digit number, match the number announced on the evening news, and win a prize. The grand prize at that time was 1 million pesos, and it's roughly 40,000 US dollars at the time. On May 25, 1992, the number announced was 349. The problem is that instead of 2 winning caps existing in the entire country, roughly 800,000 caps had 349 printed inside them. A production process meant to generate one set of numbers had generated a second overlapping set, and nobody caught it before the caps shipped. And on paper, at grand prize value, that stack of bottle caps was worth about 32 billion US dollars. Nobody has $32 billion sitting around for a soda contest. Well, maybe Elon does, but he didn't back then. And that's the shape of the disaster. And now let's back up and talk about why this landed the way it did. You have to understand the country Pepsi was selling into, because the reaction only makes sense once you do. In 1992, Coca-Cola controlled roughly 3/4 of the Philippine soft drink market. Pepsi was the scrappy number 2, and Number Fever was designed to change that fast, using a promotion format that had already run in Latin America. A month before the Philippine launch, that same format had already caused a smaller version of this exact problem in Chile, a garbled number broadcast on television. The Philippine Senate later pointed at the Chile incident and called what followed here gross negligence. Layer onto that the economics of the country. This was a country where a million-peso prize wasn't a fun bonus, it was generational money at that time, the kind of number that pays off debt, buys land, changes which relatives you can help, and nearly half the country was reportedly participating in this promotion. When the news anchor read out 349, an estimated 70% of the population was watching a television at that moment. So when people checked their caps and saw 349 staring back at them, it wasn't a mild, close moment, This was people believing for a few hours that their entire financial life had just changed. Now stay with me because the timeline matters here, okay? I'll tell you what actually happened. May 25, 1992, the number 349 is announced as a grand prize winner, right? Pepsi's own account is that the only 2 bottle caps were supposed to carry that number, along with a verifying security code on the cap. Because of the printing error, roughly 800,000 additional caps carried 349 with no security code at all. The next morning, newspapers ran a correction and the actual intended winning number was 134 and not 349. Imagine, finding out the number that was supposed to make you rich was a typo, printed and broadcast to 70% of your country, and the real number was something else entirely. Pepsi's position was that only caps with a verifying security code could be redeemed. To an executive looking at a potential $32 billion payout, that's the only position that keeps the company solvent. To a family standing in line outside a bottling plant holding a cap they believed made them millionaires, that's a company changing the rules after they'd already announced you won. Both of the things are true at the same time, and that tension is the entire incident of this thing. Now, this is the part of the lesson where the tone has to change because real people did not survive this. Protests started almost immediately, organized in part under a group calling itself the 349 Alliance. Most of it was peaceful anger, rallies outside offices, boycotts, but some of it escalated. Over 30 Pepsi delivery trucks were overturned, stoned, or set on fire. Homemade bombs and grenades were thrown at company trucks, warehouses, and offices. And executives received death threats serious enough that the company brought in round-the-clock security. At least 5 people died in the incidents connected to the unrest. In February 1993, a bomb thrown at a Pepsi truck in Manila bounced back into a crowd and killed a school teacher and a 5-year-old girl, injuring 6 others. In May 1993, a grenade attack on a Pepsi warehouse in Davao killed 3 employees who worked there: a teacher, a 5-year-old, and 3 people who showed up to a warehouse job that morning with no idea it would be their last shift. None of them were the people who made the printing error, but all of them paid for it anyway. Now, roughly 22,000 people eventually took legal actions against the company, filing hundreds of civil suits and thousands of criminal complaints. The legal fights dragged on for over a decade. In 2006, the Philippine Supreme Court ultimately ruled that Pepsi was not liable to pay out on the uncoded caps, closing the case for good. A year after the incident, an American humor organization gave the company a spoof Peace Prize for uniting the country's warring factions, and Filipinos who lived through it did not find that especially funny, and neither do I. Now, here's your homework assignment, and this is the part where 30-year-old soda caps connect your life right now. If you're spending real time in the Philippines, you are going to encounter promotions, raffles, special rate offers, investment pitches, timeshare pitches, all of it. And some of them are legitimate, the instinct I want you to walk away with today isn't don't trust anything, but it's watch how a business behaves the moment something goes wrong, and not how good they look while everything's going right. Pepsi's marketing was flawless right up until the moment it mattered, and then the company's first instinct was to protect itself and not the people who trusted the promotion. That instinct, in a country where trust and reputation move faster and matter more than almost anywhere I've lived, is the single most Filipino lesson buried inside an American soda company's biggest mistake. The other piece of homework, the phrase 349 or 349 is still used here today, more than 30 years later, as slang for getting duped. If a local ever tells you that you just got 349 or 349, you now know exactly what they're referencing, and you'll understand the weight behind it instead of just nodding along. Class dismissed, full reading list, sources, and the Bloomberg and Netflix retrospectives I pulled from are linked in the description if you want to go deeper than one lecture allows. Next time somebody hands you a "you already won" offer anywhere in this country, I want you to think about a bottle cap with the number 349 on it and asking what happens to the company story the moment it's actually time to pay up. This has been Lee. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye! A physical prop. You have to understand the country Pepsi was sealing. Bombs. Cloud. What are you doing? I'll say hi. And not how good they look while everything's